November 2016, Mr. Epstein said that Mr. Black urgently needed to clean up the procrastination-produced mess that was his estate, and that Mr. Black's children had contributed to. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and read this email excerpt. At least for a few weeks, I am unable to commit much time and make any future plans to guide you in the redoing of your procrastination-produced mess. That being said, the tasks at hand are the following. You have a bomb of colored string that your R-slurred children have formed. It has to be very carefully unwound. And this was in 2016. This was when it was already like not cool to say, to use that terminology. You know, this is, you know what? I'm getting the feeling this Epstein guy, pretty bad. Hey, it's the Goblin Queen. I wanted to start out with this new article out right now, out on the streets. This one. The New York Times just dropped this. Oh, just dropped it, like, yesterday. Money, Women, and Taxes. Jeffrey Epstein's fiery friendship with a Wall Street titan. New emails show how Mr. Epstein pressured Leon Black, his longtime friend and patron, to fork over millions for financial services. So Leon Black, that's him on the left. Let me get a better picture of the guy. Leon Black, billionaire businessman, private equity investor, former CEO of Apollo Global Management. I mean, I don't really know what this guy is. I have no idea. But he's the kind of guy that you just hear about in the news. At least with like Zuckerberg and Bezos and Thiel and stuff. It's like, I know what I know they're evil and stuff, but like, at least I have like some sense of like what they do. This guy's just like a private equity dude or something. He like, I don't know, I guess he ran like an art museum of some kind. But this guy, he's been accused of sexual assault by numerous women, like, I think like 5 or so, let's say 4 or 5. Several of them were victims of Jeffrey Epstein, who allege that he sexually assaulted them like during a massage at Jeffrey Epstein's house. Leon Black is someone who I have put on my list of people who I am guessing would be on the Epstein client list if such a thing were to exist. But yeah, that's Leon Black. He looks like a silly looking guy, you know? Kind of looks like I don't know, like he could be like a comedic character actor or something in another life. But no, this guy is a billionaire private equity guy. So this article came out. Oh, another thing about him, his son, Ben Black, this guy here, looks a lot more serious. This guy doesn't look like a comedic character actor. Ben Black has been named as, this was, from back in February, but this guy is the head, appointed by Donald Trump, of the U.S. International Development Finance Corporation. He wrote a Substack essay about a month before he was appointed, co-authored with tech entrepreneur and Palantir co-founder Joe Lonsdale. And in this thing, he's sort of like pitching like what he would do if he were in charge, I suppose. And one of these things had to do with USAID. You said what? Could be maybe their slogan. USAID, basically a CIA carve-out. But they do, nice things to other countries in the global south. Give people food, stuff like that, soft power kind of things. They are also a kind of sneaky, kind of cloak and dagger CIA carve-out. But like overall, I would say the world is more bad now that it's gone. But he had talked about reallocating some of the funds, repurposing USAID funds. Trump has appointed so many Epstein friends. This guy just loves working with people who are 1 or 2 degrees away from Jeffrey Epstein. In Ben's case, it's 2 degrees. By the way, Ben Black is kind of handsome though. Okay, bonking you with the horny hammer, whatever it's called, straight to horny jail. But valid. Listen, we're all allowed to have problematic crushes. What are you going to do? All right, let's get into this. Because we're getting more emails. You notice this like flood of emails we've been getting lately of that between Epstein and other people. We're getting so much shit. We got a bunch of ones from Ehud Barak. We got all those ones with Peter Mandelson. A bunch sent over to Bloomberg. But these ones are from New York Times. And one thing I will say that bothers me here is we don't have the full cache. Jeffrey Epstein was furious. For years, I like how it's like starting as like a storybook. Jeffrey Epstein was furious. For years, he had relied on the billionaire Leon Black as his primary source of income, advising him on everything from taxes to his world-class art collection. But by 2016, Mr. Black seemed to be reluctant to keep paying him tens of millions of dollars a year. So, Mr. Epstein threw a tantrum. That's right. One of Mr. Black's other financial advisors has created a really dangerous mess, Mr. Epstein wrote in an email to Mr. Black. Another was a waste of money and space. He even attacked Mr. Black's children as arsler for supposedly making a mess of his estate. Pretty intense. Pretty intense way to speak to somebody who is like one of your clients. And in fact, like the guy who gave Epstein the most money, at least after 2016. Leon Black was like, for a few years there, basically like the new Les Wexner. The typo-strewn tirade was one of dozens of previously unreported emails reviewed by the New York Times, in which Mr. Epstein hectored Mr. Black, at times demanding tens of millions of dollars beyond the $150 million he'd already been paid. The pressure campaign appeared to work. Mr. Black, who for decades was one of the richest and highest profile figures on Wall Street, continued to fork over tens of millions of dollars in fees and loans, albeit less than what Mr. Epstein had been seeking. Of all the relationships that Mr. Epstein built with the rich and powerful, his friendship with Mr. Black was arguably the most important. That's pretty intense. And I mean, yeah, do I agree with that? I mean, I guess it's arguably, so you can't argue with it. Otherwise, you're just proving his point. But yeah, I mean, you could argue that. I mean, I think that like Bill Clinton's friendship opened a lot of doors for him, not even necessarily through Bill Clinton directly, but just being able to say he was Bill Clinton's friend and photos and stuff. Alan Dershowitz, I mean, Ghislaine Maxwell, Donald Barr. I mean, there are a lot of what do you call it? There are a lot of contenders for this throne here. But anyways, Leon Black absolutely is in the running at least. Yes, that's right, DM Collins. The Clintons' war on women, which was also about the, what's it called? The campaign. He's trying to fuck over Hillary Clinton. The Clintons' war on women. Interesting book. There's a full chapter in there about Epstein. And yeah, that one was published in 2016. I believe it was written in 2015, though. Yeah, most important friend. I think if we had to pick one, Wexner seems to really have catapulted him into this lifestyle that he's become so famous for. Of all the relationships, so after Mr. Epstein served jail time for soliciting prostitution from a minor, many of his contacts backed away, but not Mr. Black, who kept Mr. Epstein afloat for years. Now, the new emails, along with court documents and interviews, provide the most complete picture of that relationship. Yet, they come at a time of renewed interest in Mr. Epstein, stoked by the Trump administration's refusal to release government records related to investigations into him. The president, who was once friends with Mr. Epstein, it's just funny. It's just so funny that that is a true thing you can just say. Crazy. Has sought to deflect attention onto hedge fund guys and other prominent men who he says were much closer to the predator than he once was. Hedge fund guys. Mr. Black, 74, was pushed out of the private equity firm he co-founded, Apollo Global Management. What a evil name, Global Management. It's like they run the world, basically. Apollo Global Management. In 2021, over his ties to Mr. Epstein, so yeah, he got kicked out of private equity. Of course, just like everyone, he was like, no way, I was only using him for financial stuff. Those claims have puzzled many on Wall Street, who have asked why one of the country's richest men would pay Mr. Epstein, a college dropout, so much more than what prestigious law firms would charge for similar service. Yeah, that is a good question. What? Yeah, that is a good question. Was he really that good? So this is crazy because I had never heard this figure before. I'd heard various figures for how much Leon Black paid Jeffrey Epstein, but I think that this is the highest one I've ever heard. $170 million Leon Black paid Jeffrey Epstein over the course of their what is it? Employer relationship. The new emails confirm Epstein performed financial work for Mr. Black. He even claimed in one note that his maneuverings had saved his benefactor as much as $2 billion. See, this is so frustrating. Okay. And the messages suggest that Mr. Epstein, despite his financial dependency, believed he had considerable power in the relationship. Okay, so there's a couple of interesting things here. Yeah, right. Yeah, so I heard like 158 million. I heard 140 million, whatever. 170 million. Is that, chat, do you guys know if this is like a new number or like from this article, or has that been known for a while? Because to me, it seems new. This is frustrating to me because we have to take the New York Times word for everything here. We don't have the emails to look at. We know that they looked them over, and we know that they typed this up, or they okayed this, article. But like, it's frustrating because, God, we've been coasting by on what documentary evidence we have for a long time. We've got some new stuff. Admittedly, we've got some new, very like limited hangout screenshots of his schedule, tons of shit redacted. We have, still the flight logs, the black books, things like that, some phone messages we have. But like, can somebody please leak these? Can someone please? Russia, if you're listening, do like the Donald Trump WikiLeaks thing. WikiLeaks, if you're listening, could you please do this? DDoS Secrets, if you're listening. Like, we need to see these. Because I'm sure there's more stuff in here than what we're getting from this article. Even if they didn't mean to cover anything up. Like, this is like the team at New York Times or whatever. Like, the guy who wrote this article going through, reading everything. But let's crowdsource it. Come on. I don't know. I'm sure there are a lot of powerful people who would not want that to happen. Oh, Ron Wyden's been saying this for a few months. Okay, cool. Good to know. But it is interesting because, like, I personally, I don't believe Epstein actually did financial shit for his clients. I don't think he really did that at all. I think that was like the lie that he propagated to everyone, but like no one talks about him working. People talk about him spending all day on his iPad or talking loudly on the phone, but like in order for him to do what he's claiming to do, this guy would need to be sitting down with his ledger and like, whatever, like actually putting in the hours, rearranging estates and whatever it is that billionaires need done. So I don't think that he was doing this, but it's interesting. He claimed his maneuverings had saved his benefactor as much as $2 billion. Okay. And the messages suggest that Mr. Epstein, despite his financial dependency, believed he had considerable power in the relationship. Like, doesn't that seem like a blackmail thing? Doesn't that seem like a blackmail thing? Like, why? Like, this guy is basically almost single-handedly responsible for Epstein's like lavish lifestyle. He owns islands and shit because this guy's paying him like $170 million. That is a ton of money. And yet Epstein was like not nice to him. It's like really rude. So this is a good point. Why did he think he had so much power? The two men had been personally entwined for more than 2 decades. When a former girlfriend accused Mr. Black of sexual assault, he turned to Mr. Epstein for advice about paying her millions of dollars to keep it quiet, according to an email reviewed by the Times and court records. Please let us see this email. I would love to see exactly what that conversation was like. Another woman said in a lawsuit that Mr. Black had raped her at Mr. Epstein's Manhattan townhouse. She eventually dropped the lawsuit. So that is another one of the accusations. And I believe that was in one of the massage rooms at Epstein's. So essentially like what we would, I think, assume would be a trafficking thing. Yeah, no, maybe he really was good at his job doing money stuff. I guess there are some other possibilities here. Maybe he had hired people who actually did the work while he was off doing whatever he wanted. Maybe he was like, because he connected people a lot. He was the center of like a vast network, and he helped people get connected. He also would set up his friends with women. He would like not in a sex trafficking way, although arguably in that way too, but in a way where he would like a lot of the people in his orbit ended up dating women that Epstein had dated beforehand. So yeah, it's hard to say. It could be business connections, could be political connections, could be international kind of whatever stuff. he must have been offering some kind of service, right? Like, it wouldn't be pure blackmail. These guys, for a lot of it, they definitely like genuinely liked each other, as we'll see from some of these other things. Even when they were arguing, there's some friendship there, camaraderie. And for reasons that are unknown, Mr. Black wired hundreds of thousands of dollars to at least 3 women who were associated with Mr. Epstein, according to court documents and notes taken by congressional investigators that were shared with the Times. Mr. Black has not responded to the questions about these payments. Susan Estrich, a lawyer for Mr. Black, said to imply that Epstein somehow had influence over Mr. Black is false and patently absurd, she said. She added that the law firm hired by Apollo to review the men's relationship found Mr. Black had no knowledge of Epstein's criminal activities. Mr. Black has never abused a woman in his life, and any suggestion is false. Mr. Black has said that he regretted working with Mr. Epstein. I bet he does. Okay, so the emails reviewed by the Times, sent in 2015 and 2016 to Mr. Black through his personal assistant, as well as to a handful of his advisors, show another dimension of Mr. Epstein's cruelty. While he was known for ingratiating himself with the rich and powerful, he could also veer into nastiness and was willing to turn the screws on his biggest client. None of the emails were written by Mr. Black, the ones that they reviewed. Okay, that's interesting. So they only have one side of this exchange. It's just like funny way to read it. Another dimension of Mr. Epstein's cruelty. It's like, not only was he an evil pedophile, he could also sometimes be mean to even his billionaire friends. It's like, okay, yeah, okay, I know. We know he's a bad guy. This isn't the final straw for me. I will no longer, not even for one day, work on your affairs without the compensation that is long overdue. Is that a good Epstein impression? I don't know. Mr. Epstein wrote in November 2015, Mr. Epstein demanded the usual $40 million per year. I can't just drop the R's, right? There's got to be more to the accent than that. With most of it paid up front. Months later, as their fight over payments roared on, Mr. Epstein offered a concession. Of course, regarding any non-financial issues, I'm always there for you and I will continue to be the best friend I can be. Email excerpt from Jeffrey Epstein to Leon Black. I never want to have any more uncomfortable money moments with you. I find it very distasteful. So to be clear, my terms are as follows. God, I'm all over the place. Okay, I'm just going to go back to regular voice. I'll only work for the usual $40 million per year. Okay, let me just read this. It needs to be paid $25 million upon signing an agreement, $5 million every 2 months thereafter for 6 months, i.e. March, May, June. This can begin if I am able in January. I will immediately stop work if the payment is not received. That's intense. This guy's playing hardball. Mr. Black and Mr. Epstein met thanks to Mr. Epstein's knack for inserting themselves in other people's business. Yada, yada, yada. Talking about how they met. This is in the 90s. So Mr. Epstein had no formal training in tax and estate planning. But after a few years working at an investment bank, he convinced a few business elites to hire him for financial advice. They included Elizabeth Johnson, recently deceased woman. She's the heir to the Johnson & Johnson fortune, and Leslie Wexner, the billionaire behind Victoria's Secret and The Limited. Mr. Black found Mr. Epstein to be impressive and a little mysterious. Yeah, that's how everybody found him, I think. It wasn't just his ties to the ultra-wealthy. He also seemed to always be surrounded by beautiful women. He was almost like a James Bond villain, Mr. Black told the publication Puck last year. Yeah, that does seem to be a big thing with his appeal. And like I said, he would constantly be setting his friends up. Glenn Dubin married his ex, Ava Anderson, became Ava Anderson Dubin. All these guys kind of benefited from Epstein's connections to all these models and stuff, including Trump. Trump dated several, at least 2, possibly 3 if we include Melania, which we're not 100% sure on. But like I said, there's a tangled web there connecting Melania Trump to Epstein. But I get the sense from all of the reading that I've done about Epstein, I get the sense that Epstein was like a lot of guys who hung out with Epstein were kind of hoping that they could get his kind of whatever. What's a nice way of saying it? Be able to date some of the women that he dumped. I don't know. I tried really hard not to put that in a very vulgar tone. He was almost like a James Bond villain. Yeah. So I think that a lot of people had this impression of Epstein. So this quote from him makes a lot of sense. This really fits with my preconceived idea of what Epstein's friendship circle was like. In 1997, long before Mr. Epstein became a formal advisor to Mr. Black, he and his wife Deborah put Mr. Epstein on the board of directors of their newly created family foundation. So this is, I would like to know exactly what this is. Family foundation. What is this? A couple years later, Mr. Black and the two other Apollo executives together donated $500,000 to one of Epstein's nonprofits, which gave money to charities. Oh, I actually was kind of nerding out about it in the Discord earlier. By the way, if you're not in the Discord yet, join the Discord. But yes, I was nerding out about it in the Discord a little bit earlier about the way that boards of directors of corporations, as well as policy planning networks, that includes things like foundations, think tanks, policy discussion organizations. These are all boards you can get on that are funded by the hyper-rich people in the social elite class, as well as the corporate community. And you get on these boards and you're connecting to all of the other boards that you sit on. We know that Epstein was sitting on the Council on Foreign Relations, as well as the Trilateral Commission, which is like a group that does like foreign policy shit about, Japan, Western Europe, and North America. It's like very huge, important things. I don't know, some kind of a realpolitik. Zbigniew Brzezinski started it, David Rockefeller. Like, these are the networks that control the world. According to this guy I've been getting into lately, G. William Domhoff, he calls the policy planning network the true political party of the elite. Isn't it kind of interesting? The political party of the elite. It's a hidden political party. We don't see it. We don't really see it, but it's these networks. Yeah, let me show you this. Theyrule.net. Check this out. So this is just U.S. corporations. So I'll just go play automatically. So we start Cisco. And then look, on Cisco, you got all these dudes. These sit on the board at Cisco. And then look, this one person, Sheila Talton. Well, she also sits on the board of Deere & Company. And then John May on Deere & Company sits on the Ford Motor Company. And then John Huntsman sits on the Chevron Corporation. And then like this is not like a video. This is like a thing that I can like, like I can move around. I can be like, well, who else? What about this guy? He's also on Dell. Well, who's on Dell? Okay, this guy. Okay, he's nothing. But okay, this person, like, so you can sort of like find these connections. This is who rules. This rules, not Jenny Penn. These guys, these people. Well, I mean, not even necessarily these people, because all of these people will have some sort of corporate sponsor if they're not themselves, members of the elite class. They'll be there for on behalf of someone else, advancing their interests, just like Epstein was advancing the interests of Leon Black when he was put on the board of directors of their newly created family foundation. And this is like a nonprofit. It's not a corporation. But yeah, yes, they have meetings. They're a policy planning organization. So the Trilateral Commission meetings are held annually at locations that rotate among the three regions. Most gatherings focus on discussing reports and debating strategy to meet the commission's aims. But each country within three regions is assigned a quota of members, reflecting its relative political and economic strength. So they essentially, what do they do is the question. They essentially, so they make assessments. Chomsky has an interesting take on Trilateral Commission in particular. Chomsky's criticized the commission as undemocratic, pointing to its key publication, The Crisis of Democracy, which describes the strong popular interest in politics during the 1970s as an excess of democracy. He is cited as one of the most interesting and insightful books showing the modern democratic system not to really be a democracy at all, but controlled by elites who seek to keep the general public disengaged from genuine democratic participation by subtle and mostly nonviolent methods, and to redefine democracy itself in operative terms that enshrine their own interests as a tiny, privileged minority. So it's like an opinion-shaping group. Like they are, I am guessing they will even write policy for politicians. Maybe not as openly, but they publish a book like The Crisis of Democracy through the Trilateral Commission. This is going to advance their aims. Similar kind of thing with, I would say, the abundance movement right now. The abundance movement is basically like this, I don't know who's funding it. I think it's a little bit dark money shit, but the abundance shit is clearly, where is it? Clearly, does it say, no, I don't think we know exactly who's funding it, but all the ideas of abundance are very much in line with what the elites would want anyway, right? Like, this is not like a, liberal, left-leaning, whatever idea. But yes, okay, listen, I'm getting a little bit tinfoil hat over here. I don't mean to do that. Again, we are trying to read through this. We're trying to read through this article, and I will do it. Dang it! All right, but I just thought this was interesting, right? Isn't that kind of interesting? Like, and I want to know what is the foundation? Anyways, a couple years later, Mr. Black and the two other Apollo executives together donated $500,000, and this is another thing. One of his charities, which gives money to charities, this is also part of this network. The elites do this because they're a social class. They have social cohesion. They talk to each other. They hang out. They're friends. They marry each other. They date each other. They date each other's exes, especially if you're friends with Epstein. And look at this. Yeah. Mr. Epstein introduced Mr. Black to several young women. Some of the women later accused Mr. Black of abusing them. So he has I think there's 4 or 5 women who've accused him of abuse. One of them dropped it, but he introduced him to other women too. In 2002, Mr. Epstein arranged for Mr. Black to meet Sherry Pearson, whom Mr. Epstein had paid for massages, according to a lawsuit. Ms. Pearson filed years later and eventually withdrew. So this was basically like, if this is true, a trafficking, not a child trafficking, but a sex trafficking thing. I'm not sure how old she was. I assume it would say here if that was not the case. In early 2003, Mr. Black was among the friends who contributed to a book celebrating Mr. Epstein's 50th birthday. Okay, let's take a look at it because I got it right here. So this is Jeffrey Epstein's 2004 50th birthday book. And fucking Leon Black wrote him a poem. That gets harder and harder to read as it goes on. I'm not sure if that's intentional, but he just keeps adding more and more syllables to every line. So we're not going to read the whole thing because fuck that. But I'm going to, on the occasion, this is how this guy talks. On the occasion of Jeffrey Epstein's 50th birthday. What is this guy, like writing a chapter of Winnie the Pooh or something? On the occasion? Isn't this guy American? Who talks like that? Now he starts out, I will say the first verse, stanza? I don't know. I ain't a poet. But the first one, the poetic meter is on point, and that's only because he fucking abbreviates Vanity Fair poster child to VFPC. So this is right after Epstein had his article published in Vanity Fair, Vicky Ward. A VFPC is something to be. A VFPC is something to see. A liver, a lover, a Jeff, a Jeffrey. Let's all give a cheer, for today he's 50. Not bad. We're not going to read the whole thing, but I'll read this next one. 5 decades L or half century, by birds and by bucks, C's and M's are his key. Blonde, red, or brunette, spread out geographically. With his net of fish, Jeff's now the old man in the sea. See how I had to, it's really hard to scan that properly. If my friend Dan were here, he'd probably do a better job with it. This, the meter, the Scantron, what do you call it? Meter scanning? I don't know. What do these letters mean? But yeah, okay, but this is interesting. By birds and by bucks, is that like girls and boys? C's and M's are his key. All right, I don't know what those C's and M's are. Blonde, red, or brunette spread out geographically. Blonde, red, or brunette what? Like, take the word out. Take out. Because, like, I can't read that. There's no way to read that line and have it, like, fit the meter of the poem. With his net of fish. Now, fish, I think, is women. I believe that's what he means here. Not a very good metaphor. Blonde, red, or brunette, fish. Okay, so you're calling women fish. With this net of fish, Jeff's now the old man in the sea. And he underlines the old man because he's like, and I'm calling you old because I'm ribbing you because we're buds. Hey, you're old and you got a lot of women on the thing. Yeah, L is in 5 decades. Right. Yeah. So C is 100, M is 1,000. Oh, that could be. Yeah, that could be. That actually makes sense, DM Collins. Good work. It's always good to have a Roman in the chat here, helping us out with those weird numbers. So it's hundreds and thousands are his key then? Like, I guess money? But I mean, what's the Roman number for fucking a million? Because, like, it's not really, as far as Leon Black's concerned, hundreds and thousands are not his key. Good stuff. Good to know. Teaching math, trading options for foreign currency, green eye shades, schemes and plans, a unique strategy. Green eye shades. I have never once seen a picture of Epstein with those green eye shades. The things that, like, accountants wear. Like, can you even imagine Epstein like sitting there like this, like going over the fucking numbers? No, I do not believe that happened. I might be the minority here. I think a lot of you guys in the chat think that Epstein did, in fact, actually do some of these things, but who knows? Oh yes, he does refer to his, I guess, the other thing, unique tax strategy. Great. Okay, green eye shade schemes and plans, a unique tax strategy. Wet dream and Kochmar. What does that say? Kuchinar? An architect's wild spree. Oh, thank you, DM Collins. Apparently, Kochmar is French for nightmare, but not sure if that's the meaning here. Kochmar, nightmare. What the? Wet dream and Kochmar. It must be. Wet dream and nightmare. An architect's wild spree. Why say fucking Kochmar when you could just say nightmare? Like, come on now. Okay, this is annoying me. Moscow, Paris, Santa Fe, Alhambra, East Jamboree. Okay, again, dude, go back to put in the initials because like you're putting way too many syllables in each line. All right, fine, I'll read the last verse. A Maxwellian delight, a mother's treasure, great joy, most surely. Like, how the fuck do I? Let me try. Let me actually try. Maxwellian delight, a mother's treasure, great joy, most surely. Harvardian patron, brain researcher for extending. Harvardian patron, brain researcher for extending wannabe. Outrageous, iconoclastic, unconventional, spirit free. Best of all, a dear friend. Happy birthday, Jeffrey. 11 kisses. 11 kisses. Leon. What a weirdo. Like, they're friends. Like, they genuinely liked each other around this time. Anyway, it's not the worst thing that somebody wrote in the book. He didn't do the thing Trump did, but still weird. So a few years later, blah, 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 he was in jail. In 2011, Mr. Epstein was at a crossroads. He was a registered sex offender, and his main benefactor, Mr. Wexner, the retail billionaire, had long since cut ties. His personal investments, while sizable, had plummeted since the 2008 financial crisis, according to records filed by one of Epstein's companies. Which might not even be true, right? Like, you know, he might have just wanted people to think that he was broke. And his opulent lifestyle and sex trafficking operation continued to rack up expenses. I like how like sex trafficking operation is just spoken of here as if this was definitely what he was doing. I mean, like, I do think that is what he's doing. But, like, as far as I know, we don't have, like, proof. I mean, we have a lot of allegations. But, yeah, anyway. Mr. Black, too, was at a crossroads of sorts. Apollo had gone public in 2011. Mr. Black's personal wealth had soared. Mr. Epstein had found a new cash cow. Okay, so this is when he started to work with Leon Black. And in 2012, he received $5.5 million from Mr. Black, which appears to have been the first transaction between the two men. Okay, so back in 2004, when that birthday card was sent, he wasn't his client yet. But 2012, $5.5 million, which appears to have been the first transaction. Blah, blah, blah. Months later, they signed a contract in which Mr. Black agreed to pay Mr. Epstein $23.5 million for estate planning matters. This is what Epstein claimed to do for people. Mr. Epstein sought to professionalize Mr. Black's family investment office. So yeah, his whole thing was like this is what he claims he did, right? He's like, hey, if you're a billionaire, a lot of billionaires, you know, the way they arrange their estate, the way they plan their personal finances, it makes sense when they're like millionaires. It makes less sense when they're multimillionaires. It makes no sense when they're billionaires. So most billionaires have completely fucked their personal finances. So let me get in there and let me do some shit that fixes it and makes it so that it's all working for you in the best way possible. Now, I sort of think of Mr. Epstein as like a con artist. And I think that he did convince people that he was going to do illegal shit for them. He had these illegal ways of hiding their money from the government and making it so that they didn't have to pay. And so in order for that to work, they had to pay him a ton of money. Some people like Les Wexner, he got to even put like his name, like put his money in Epstein's name. And like the way he was able to get away with this is he'd be like, well, I've got, what are you going to do? Call the police and say that like I tricked you into doing this? You knew we were doing illegal shit. So I mean, that's my personal theory. I'm trying not to let that affect how I see things, but that might be what Black's referring to with this unique tax strategy. Green eye shade schemes and plans, a unique tax strategy. Yeah, but I don't know. Okay, moving on. Mr. Epstein sought to professionalize Mr. Black's family investment office, which managed the billionaire's assets. He constructed and sometimes participated in art transactions that were designed to skirt capital gains taxes and keep Mr. Black's purchases from drawing public attention. according to emails reviewed by the Times. And here we go again. He used his connections at J.P. Morgan Chase. I said that in a weird way. J.P. Morgan Chase, where Mr. Epstein was a prized client, to seek a loan for Mr. Black. In one email, he told a banker that he was advising on Mr. Black's $120 million purchase of Edvard Munch's painting, The Scream. The Scream is owned by fucking Leon Black? See, okay, and another thing here is, again, Epstein's a con artist. Wow, he owns it. Motherfucker owns The Scream. That's nuts. The lead partner of Apollo Global Management is now the proud owner of the most expensive piece of art ever sold in an auction. And this would be in 2012, so this would line up with when Epstein was managing his, managing his estate or whatever he was claiming to do. Now, yeah, Mr. Black's representative said Mr. Epstein was not involved in the 2012 purchase of the painting. And so, obviously they're going to say that. If he was involved, they would still say that. But I'll also say Epstein is also like a massive liar, okay, and a con artist. And this, to me, this may be true. I'm not saying it's not true. It very well could be true. But it also seems like exactly the kind of thing Epstein would say just so that people would be impressed. And because he knew that they wouldn't be able to, totally double check it until an article comes out in the New York Times in 2025. But he would do that shit all the time. He'd take credit for things that he had nothing to do with. So I don't know. Jury's out on that as far as I'm concerned. Most important, he found ways to minimize the taxes that Mr. Black's estate would owe after his death. He certainly was able to do that for himself, creating trusts to allow Leon Black to pass along potentially unlimited sums to their heirs, free of any estate tax. In 2013, Mr. Epstein came up with a way to rework the trust to potentially avoid hundreds of millions of dollars in taxes for Mr. Black's 4 children. Cool. Great. This is why the earth sucks. This is why the rich keep getting richer. This is why the inequality is so bad. Because of this bullshit. The actual role that he played, as well as the true value derived from that work, is unclear. So that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying right here. Epstein talks a big game. We know he's very good at that. He's very good at getting it in writing, whatever, sending it. But did he ever actually do the work? Did he ever actually, sit down with that fucking green visor? What's it called? Did he ever do that shit? I don't think so. My contention is Epstein's financial shit was total bullshit. Yet Mr. Epstein told Mr. Black that the work was highly valuable. Mr. Black generally coughed up the fees Mr. Epstein requested. The total would ultimately reach $170 million. By a wide margin, Mr. Black was Mr. Epstein's greatest source of income after 2012. The runner-up, the French banker Ariane de Rothschild, who paid Mr. Epstein at least $15 million in 2015. And Ariane de Rothschild, who are they okay, this is a woman, and they're the CEO of Edmund de Rothschild Group. Wow. I don't know about her. I know Lynn Forrester de Rothschild, who was a good friend of Epstein's and a client of his as well. I know Evelyn de Rothschild. Presumably, this is from the same family. The first. And so just like Lynn Forrester de Rothschild, she's not actually a Rothschild. She's the first woman and the first person without Rothschild lineage to run a Rothschild-branded financial institution. She married Benjamin de Rothschild, this guy. So this guy's actually from the Rothschild family. Super interesting. And this guy was actually a billionaire. Because a lot of the Rothschilds aren't billionaires. But this guy actually is. Who knows how much money they actually have. It can be kind of hard to tell sometimes. Mr. Epstein also gave Mr. Black access to his Rolodex. Now, this was something, I think I mentioned this earlier. I do think this is an actual value that Epstein could bring to people. Over the years, he connected Leon Black with Bill Gates and Steve Bannon. He introduced one of Mr. Black's sons to Woody Allen to learn about film editing, according to court records. Mr. Black, meanwhile, donated millions to one of Mr. Epstein's charities. So we have Epstein hanging out, introducing Leon Black to women, multiple women, setting him up with massages, erotic massages, sex trafficking girls to him. He's also helping manage his responses to accusations of assault. He's also introducing him to business contacts, Bill Gates, Steve Bannon, and he's one of his fail sons gets to meet Woody Allen, one of Epstein's also late in life best friends. And Mr. Black is donating billions to one of Mr. Epstein's charities. So, yeah, like there's a lot going on here, right? That doesn't have anything to do with Epstein actually doing financial work for him. Some work that Mr. Epstein performed for Mr. Black required the utmost discretion. For instance, he helped him keep a long-running extramarital affair under wraps. Like, does this seem like something that your financial guy does? Like, this guy was doing shit for. Okay, now this part I gotta say something here. Mr. Black paid nearly $10 million to Gazelle Genieva, with whom he had a sexual relationship and who had accused him of assault. The agreement required Ms. Genieva, not sure how to pronounce it, to not publicly disclose the relationship. Mr. Black has acknowledged the affair but denied the assault. One of Epstein's tasks was to look into whether the payments, some of which were structured as loans, would incur federal gift taxes, according to court filings and the emails the Times reviewed. Okay, I guess that does have to do with financial shit. Pleading for pay by 2015. 2015. This is a few years after he started working with him. Fissures were beginning to surface in the relationship between the two men. Mr. Epstein wanted more money. Mr. Black did not want to give him that more money that he so desperately desired. Epstein compiled a bunch of emails with notes to himself about the role he had played in managing Mr. Black's finances, apparently to help make the case that he deserved to be paid. Please release those. Release those right now. Leak those. The people need to know. Also, this is funny. The spat was captured in Mr. Epstein's emails, written in a stream of consciousness manner, with little regard for the conventions of grammar, punctuation, or spelling. Yeah, that's how Epstein typed. Have you ever seen that photo of Epstein standing in front of a chalkboard? Here's a photo of Jeffrey Epstein when he was a teacher at Dalton School, and check out how he spelled his own name. Buddy, how did you spell your own name wrong? That is crazy. That's a new level. That's not your average, dyslexia, is it? Misspelling your own name? Like, that's wild. Anyways, it's fine. By the way, this is something about Epstein that is neutral. It is not a good or bad thing, but I do think it's funny that they're kind of roasting him here. Little regard for the conventions of grammar, punctuation, and spelling. The guy couldn't spell. Mr. Epstein alternated between sounding angry, boastful, defensive. He detailed the extensive work he'd performed and how much money it saved the client. He derided the employees of Mr. Black's family office and one of the billionaire's outside advisors at the elite law firm Paul Weiss. The underlying message: Mr. Black could trust only Mr. Epstein, and he deserved to be paid accordingly. Shortly after a meeting with Mr. Black and some of his advisors in November of 2015, so check this out. Leon Black met with Epstein and then some of his other advisors, actual qualified people. And I'm guessing that this meeting happened and the actual qualified people were like, bro, you're paying Epstein way too much. No, we're not going to do any of this shit. Change this. What the fuck are you doing, Leon? And so Epstein was pissed. He typed a long email. He goes, one advisor's comments were totally incomprehensible, Mr. Epstein wrote. The charts he prepared unreadable. Everything's unreadable to you, Epstein. You have dyslexia. Another advisor spent the meeting in a defensive posture, leading Mr. Epstein to wonder if he had felt sandbagged by Mr. Epstein's presence. Mr. Epstein went on to propose one final year of work. Okay, I think you should pay the $25 million that you did not for this year, he wrote. For next year, it's the same, $40 million as always, paid 20 in Jan and 20 in July, and then we are done. Over the course of 2016, Mr. Epstein ratcheted up the pressure to get paid. As you often like to remind me, you've paid a great deal of money to date, he wrote that March. That being said, if you want my involvement moving forward, I suggest you pay my regular fee of $40 million. If cash is a problem, he offered, then Mr. Black could pay him in other ways, like by giving him Miami real estate or artwork or financing his new plane. Email excerpt from Epstein to Black. To help out, I'm keenly aware of your current cash position, so I'll consider an in-kind payment. Real estate, Miami, art, financing of my new plane, allows you to spread over years, or, of course, the preferred cash. Several weeks later, still frustrated, Mr. Epstein dashed off an email that explained the value he'd provided Mr. Black over the years. If you reflect on your financial life, you've been kept safe, had remarkable results, and no disasters, he wrote. Yeah, safe. Had remarkable results. I don't know. Anyway, Epstein warned, I've repeatedly urged you to get rid of the people in your office. You've repeatedly chosen to ignore my advice. So he's kind of having it both ways. He's like, look, you've done really well with me. I've helped you make a fuckload of money. But on the other hand, you're not doing that well because And it's because you haven't been listening to me. And I told you to fire all of the people that work for you. Like, you know what I mean? Well, ignoring the benefit of between 1.5 and 2 billion to the better, a reference to how much Mr. Epstein claimed he had saved Mr. Black. Super interesting. I should really ask my friend, Presidential Penis, about this, because he's really much more involved and like knowledgeable about like economy shit and, you know, financial shit. Ask him what he thinks about this article, because I feel like this is, I mean, even though we're not getting everything, we're getting a lot. We're getting a lot more than we usually get about what it's like to be Epstein's client. 6 months later, in November 2016, the dispute was still simmering. Mr. Epstein said that Mr. Black urgently needed to clean up the procrastination-produced mess that was his estate, and that Mr. Black's children had contributed to. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and read this. Our email excerpt. At least for a few weeks, I am unable to commit much time and make any future plans to guide you in the redoing of your procrastination-produced mess. That being said, the tasks at hand are the following. You have a bomb of colored string that your slurred children have formed. It has to be very carefully unwound. And this was in 2016. This was when it was already like not cool to use that terminology. You know, this is, you know what? I'm getting the feeling this Epstein guy, pretty bad. Yes, right? Yeah, okay, you guys are on the same page as I am. That's a threat. It sounds like a mob boss extortion racket. That's exactly what I'm thinking here. Like, I think he's like, I've kept you safe. Like, it'd be a shame if something would happen to all your money or whatever. He's like, this is what that is, right? This is what's going on here. But he is giving him shit, but like, that has to be done. Like, this is, you know, working with his estate. Like, that is supposedly what Epstein was doing for these people. It's just, why pay $170 million for it still not to really be done properly? The long pressure campaign may have worked. Mr. Black kept bankrolling Mr. Epstein into 2017. Earlier that year, he lent Epstein about $30 million, but Epstein repaid only $10 million. Oh, you know what? So maybe this is where that extra 20 mil came from in the new number. Interesting. Mr. Black's last recorded payment of $8 million came April 2017, according to a report by the law firm DeShare that Apollo hired to review Mr. Black's relationship with Mr. Epstein. He fired Epstein because he was disruptive and believed the fees for his services were excessive. Yeah, I mean, like, that definitely seems true. Leon, are you an idiot? Did you not know that $170 million was way too much to pay anyone for this shit? But even after the payment stopped, Mr. Black kept soliciting his friend's advice. One of Mr. Black's advisors emailed Epstein to say that Mr. Black had requested that he provide a high-level review of Mr. Black's 1,700-page federal tax return. Weeks later, Mr. Epstein's criminal enterprise began to unravel. So that's 2018. What happens in 2018? Say it with me. Perversion of Justice. Series of articles are published by the Miami Herald, written by Julie K. Brown. The reason why Epstein went to jail for the second time. The reason why we know his name. So this was just weeks later. October 2018, November 2018, Miami Herald published a series of articles about Epstein's sweetheart plea deal a decade earlier. He dies in jail. We all know that. Mr. Black initially played down his ties to the notorious predator. And everybody was like, okay, that's chill. That's cool. After the Times reported in 2020 that Mr. Black had paid Mr. Epstein as much as $75 million. See, that's what I'm saying. It's been a growing sum of money. But I guess in 2020, $75 million was what they thought. And then it turned out they were like, oh, fuck. Yeah, you gotta go, bud. Yeah, you gone. You gone, Mr. Black. Leon, more like Lee gone. Investigators found out it was $170 million, which were flagged by the Bank of America as suspicious. They also discovered Mr. Black had paid millions of dollars to 8 women. At least 3 of these were listed among Epstein's associates and victims. So 8 women got settlements from Black, or whatever, like hush money or whatever it is. And 3 of them were Epstein associates and victims. How interesting. Almost seems like what you would see from a international child trafficking, or I don't even want to say child trafficking. I think after Epstein went to jail the first time, he mostly was with the women were old or above the age of consent, but he was still trafficking them. It's still a crime. Authorities in the U.S. Virgin Islands, where some of Mr. Epstein's businesses had been based and many of his sex crimes had taken place, opened their own investigation of Mr. Epstein's financial partners, including Mr. Black. Lawyers working for the territory's attorney general interviewed at least 2 women who claimed they'd been sexually abused by Mr. Black after Mr. Epstein introduced them, according to several people briefed on the matter in interview notes. So wait, are those the same 3 that they just mentioned? Oh no. 2 women, 3 women. So I'm confused. Is that 5 or is it the same 3? I don't know. It is unclear whether the Attorney General's office substantiated these allegations. In 2023, Mr. Black agreed to pay the territory, Virgin Islands, $62.5 million to end the investigation. Whit Clay, a spokesman for Mr. Black, said at the time, the settlement did not involve any allegations of misconduct. He said, it was simply to resolve claims arising from the unintended consequences of the fees that Mr. Black had paid Mr. Epstein. The end. That's the end of it. So, okay. I did read another article from the Daily Beast where they talked to one of Mr. Black. I don't want to call him Mr. Black, but they reached out to Leon Black's representatives, and they pointed out that Matt Goldstein, who's one of the writers on the New York Times story, Matt Goldstein is a Times reporter who covers Wall Street and white-collar crime and housing issues. And they pointed out that Matt Goldstein actively advised Guzel Ganyeva, if you remember this person's name. She was one of the people who accused Leon Black of sexual assault. So Goldstein apparently advised her, which we learned through dozens of emails and text messages found in Discovery. Her complaint was ultimately dismissed with prejudice and the decision upheld by the appellate court. Now, obviously, I don't have any issue with him doing that and being a reporter. Like, he's a white-collar crime reporter, right? Is what it says? Yeah. He covers Wall Street and white-collar crime and housing issues. So, like, if, let's say I don't know how he was in contact with this Guinevere person. I think it's more like he probably knew them. I'm totally guessing here. I don't know how they got in touch. But she was, I'm sure, very afraid of making an allegation against one of the richest guys on earth, right? This like mega billionaire fucking private equity fuck. This fucking freak. She was like, oh God, maybe I should talk to this dude who knows a lot about this world. Maybe they met at a party or something. Who knows? So I got no issue with him doing that. I think that's totally fine. But why the fuck wasn't that disclosed in this article, if that is true? Like, why am I finding that out from a Daily Beast article that's about this article? Like, the Daily Beast article, it just kind of goes over everything that we just read. It's like, according to the New York Times, blah, 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 blah. But then at the very end, they're like, oh, we reached out to them too, and this is what we found out. And then, like, that's weird, right? I feel like that's weird. I do think that is relevant to this article. Anyway, it's annoying. I mean, I don't know. I don't think there's anything nefarious happening here or anything like that. It's just I'm annoyed that they left themselves open to this kind of an accusation. So there you go, guys. This is an interesting article. We get a really, not exactly an up close look at how Epstein managed his actual clients and how he spoke to them and how he managed them and like what he did for them. We got a much closer look at that than I think we ever had before.